Hey everyone,
This is Nicholas. I write video game reviews for thedreamersedge.com.
and I'm Dimitri. I edit video game reviews for Nicholas. I'm also webmaster of thedreamersedge.com, and we both are also hosts of the DE podcast. If you're not familiar with it, you can find it at thedreamersedge.com, and we're also on iTunes. What we're doing here is one of our first YouTube exclusive in terms of recordings. And the reason we wanted to do that is because we didn't feel that this would be something that's material for our usual show, but it's something that you, Nick, in particular, really wanted to address sooner than later.
Yeah.
And what we're referring to is...
The unfortunate closure of City of Heroes that's going to happen at the end of November.
November 30th, I believe, is the exact date.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
A little bit of context. I haven't been following it as much because I am not the video game reviewer on the site.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that NCSoft, which is a principal publisher of the game City of Heroes and its various expansions, have essentially disbanded the actual developer team. That's Paragon Studios.
Yes. On August 31st, they said basically halted all development, and they pretty much fired everybody. And they said, they stopped everything with Sea of Heroes, and they're in the process of closing it down.
Yeah, laid off. I would think more than
Yeah.
firing. They've organized job fairs. And
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
So
I mean,
it feels like a downsize more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like they were like, okay, you guys won't want to see ever again. It's just they still care about the employees. That like I said, I've heard of job fairs being organized for them, so it's that's at least nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Downsizes are never an easy situation. But what that means for gamers, if you clicked on this YouTube channel, it's probably because City of Heroes is of some interest to you.
Yeah.
That means that the game's going to end at the end of November. So if you've heard of the game and haven't played it, you would advise that they try it now, get at least the last 2 months of that experience before it might go away. We'll talk about what the future of that game might be a little bit later on in the recording. But first, I mean, for those of you who are not entirely familiar, or those of you who just sort of want to reminisce and sort of celebrate what the game is, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about City of Heroes.
Well, it's a massively multiplayer online game, an MMO, basically where you create a superhero or a supervillain. And you basically start at low level, and you start fighting low-level criminals or low-level justice people, and you grow more and more powerful. And as a hero, you fight crime and more powerful arch-villains, and eventually you become the hero of the city, and you keep growing your character and making him better.
Right, and I mean, you design your own hero. That's sort of the big appeal with it. It's like you're not playing a Marvel character or a DC character or any established character.
No.
You make up your own guy or girl.
Yes, and the character creation is one of the most fun things ever. The first time I played the game, and I said, I'll just make a cool looking hero and I'll start playing. I'll focus on the looks later on. But after an hour, I was still creating my hero and making it look the coolest possible. And I'm like, hey, I've been at this for an hour and he still doesn't look cool enough. And just creating your hero, and then now you can even customize their power. You want your hero to shoot like blue fire or black fire or whatever. It is really, really well made. Just the hero creation is like is landmark in the industry.
Like in terms of your favorite MMORPGs, like where would you rank it actually?
It is my favorite. It's unique. There's nothing like that. I mean, I can just log on and play it for like half an hour and just a short mission or just busting people on the streets, and it's always fun. It's not like it doesn't require a huge time investment like World of Warcraft or Star Wars: The Old Republic. They really require you to play for long periods of time for you to get really in the game. This one, you can just pop in, have a little fun, and just log off. It's really quick.
Let's talk about how you get involved in playing. Like, because if I understand, you don't have to pay right away.
You don't have to pay at all. It's free to play. It started free to play started like a year ago.
Okay.
And you pay if you want upgrades. If you want a special costume, which a lot of people pay for because they look awesome. Or if you reach the last level and you want different special powers, you have to pay in the online store. But now the online store is closed, unfortunately, so you don't get to do that. But you can always just get the game, download it, and start playing for free. And the experience is perfectly fine playing for free. You're not going to miss anything. It's free play. It's really fun.
How long has the game been available?
Since 2005.
2000, okay, so a good 7 years.
Yes.
So I imagine like the communities, a lot of them have been pretty set. Like there must be like some pretty long-standing bonds, I guess.
Yes. I mean, I remember I had to stop playing for a while because I was a graduate student, and my friends all decided we're playing Worlds of Warcraft, and I followed them, so I had to, leave uh, the Justice server, which is the server I played on.
That leads to an interesting question. If your friends jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
Yeah, maybe actually.
Maybe online.
Maybe online, yeah, but no, it was just I wanted to play
kidding.
with them. We could talk about the game. That's cool. It was more. It was more better that way, and my English is more good now.
No, it sounds much superior, better.
But then, I came back, when they had like those free weekends, and people remembered me, and that was great about it. And it's like, hey, have you been? And I got the community, the City of Hero community, each server and their community is the best thing ever. Nobody's mean. You always have a good time with these people. It's always a positive experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you mentioned in your written review that you wrote for our site for City of Heroes, that the community is amongst the best ones you've encountered.
Just an example comparing the two communities of the MMOs I've played. We did a trial once in City of Heroes. We had to kill the Hydra, which is like a big monster that's in the sewers, and you have to kind of make it retreat for a while. And it took us a while to do that, and then we're all hyper, so we go to celebrate at the dance party, which is basically just a room where heroes dance. It seems like a ridiculous concept, but we were so hyper on adrenaline. It's like, yeah, let's go to the dance party and have our heroes dance for some reason. That will calm our adrenaline. And we were like, oh, hey, we killed the Hydra trial, and we were surrounded by heroes that were higher level than us, that had killed the Hydras probably like dozens of times. But they were really happy for us that we did, and they congratulated us. And I was like, hey, that's great, guys, congratulations. Compare that to an experience I had in Worlds of Warcraft, where we kill a boss, server first time that boss is killed, Kel'Thas. And when we kill him, there's a huge announcement in the main city, hey, oh, you think you've killed me, but that was for nothing, and blah, blah, blah. And people were pissed at us for some reason. It's like, oh, I believe these people will kill that guy when you have proof on the forums, those assholes are nothing. It's like, what did we ever do to you guys? We just killed the boss. Why are you angry at us for no reason? It was just really weird.
That boss has children and family and friends, and they have the right to mourn. I tell you, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a good point, though.
Okay, but actually, we're in September. It's ending at the end of November. So if you haven't played yet, and you're thinking, well, what's this thing that the internet is all abuzz about because it's closing down, you actually do still have time to experience it before it shuts down.
Yeah.
And actually, you'd recommend we do that.
Oh yeah, just give it a shot. It's unique. I've seen hundreds of like Worlds of Warcraft clones where you have like special powers, you have use your abilities and stuff like that. This one, your abilities are so great, you can change your abilities. Say you throw a fireball. Do you want your fireball to do more damage, or do you want it to be able to throw more fireballs more often, or you want it to have more range? You can, specialize your powers depending on how you want to play it. And that's something unique that I haven't seen yet in any other games. You have so much control over that. But if you mess up, you can always change back. There are ways of, okay, well, I don't want extra range on my fireball. I want it to do more damage. Now, you just need one little switch, and bingo, you have, you change your fireball like that.
Well, couldn't you just put everything at max?
No.
Okay, so there is a balance.
There is a balance. You can't just put all damage, because eventually there's something called diminishing returns, where you add extra damage. It's still going to add more damage, but it's less beneficial than if you put something else in there.
Alright, you can customize the characters. You can also name them.
Yeah.
What's the funniest character you ever named? Like, were there any like goofy things you tried out with those options?
My favorite character was Leibniz. He was the inventor of calculus in that world, and he survived for 200 years, and now he controls the weather, and he controls illusions as well. So he wasn't just a superhero, he was just a mathematician from Germany that, lived all these years. So that was my backstory for Leibniz. Other fun character I like to play was Sergeant Sarcasm, because it goes well with my personality. So I played him a lot. And yeah, I had fun game. When I wanted a serious name, I just looked at the periodic table, and I was like, let's look at an element that nobody has heard of. Ooh, dysprosium. Okay, that's fun. That's a good name. A lot of these names were taken, though. A lot of people took my technique of the periodic table, but, it worked out in the end.
And any name that you didn't come up with that you thought was pretty hilarious or clever or fun?
One that I really liked, her character was dressed up as a cheerleader, and he called himself Tackles, because I guess for the football thing, and he was like a tanker that really strong that, used strength to get everything. So I thought that was pretty clever of him. Another tank that I played a lot was M2A1 Abrams. He named himself, I guess he was a huge fan of the US military. He named himself after the American tanks. I was like, there you go. You don't need to go far to get your name. It's really fun. Somebody made a rival to Leibniz. He called him Newton. It was like, okay, now I have a rival. And he did tell me, yeah, I named it after you. You inspired me. So he created Newton, who controlled gravity. And it was like, there we go. We had a fight there.
Here's the thing. My experience with MMORPGs is I haven't played them. I just don't have time. It's not that I'm an important person or anything. It's just I don't manage my time in a way that I can really afford to play an MMORPG. It demands too much of a commitment, which explains my divorce. No, I'm kidding. I'm not divorced.
Well, that's probably why I'm single.
But what I notice when I talk to people who actually play these games is they have tales to tell. As a writer, that's the thing I envy the most whenever I meet people, is when they have these amazing stories to share. I imagine you got some as well.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my first character I created, and you start at a relatively safe zone called Atlas Park, and then you hear about this like danger or hazard zone that you can only reach when you're level 5, and it's called Paris Park in honor of George Perez, who's a comic book writer. So
actually, he's a penciler.
Penciler? Oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry. Indeed, you're right. But yeah, every sub area in this zone is in reference to somebody that works in the comic book industry. It's really nice, and you hear it's a hazard zone, but I'll just venture there and see what it is. Maybe I'll attack the weaker groups, and you go in there and you have like giant groups of 20 bad guys standing there ready to kick your ass, and you're like, I'm going to get my ass kicked if I stay here. But then, you start meeting people, and people invite you to groups, and like groups of 5 or 6 heroes, and you jump into the fray of, 20 guys, and you basically knock them all out. It's such a rush. The first time I saw that, it's like I was hooked. Getting my first group of 20 people down with the group, I was like, oh, this is fun. Let's go to the next group. Let's do this. Another fun story, the first Hamadon raid we had. The Hamadon is basically a giant cell with a nucleus and mitochondria outside of the nucleus somehow. That is not supposed to make sense, but whatever. It's a giant cell, maybe like the size of a huge building. And we didn't know how to kill it at first. It was the first time we went there. It was like the end boss of the game. And we spent like 3 hours trying to kill, we killed all the little mitochondria. And there's only the nucleus left at the center. And we're going to kill that thing, and we're all happy, and we all attack it. There's like 50 of us, and we're punching that thing, and its health drops maybe to like to 99%, and it goes back up to 100. And I was like, there's a problem with this thing. Let's just send a petition. I think it's bugged or something, so we all send a petition. And basically we get a reply back from the Hamadon, apparently, which was a game master that was pretending to be him, basically saying, sticks and stones will hurt my jellies, but petitions will never hurt me. As in, you're not doing it right. And, it kind of annoyed us at the time, but looking back, it's pretty funny that the guy role-played as the Hamadon just to say, you're not going to beat me.
That's pretty funny. Okay. Now, when we talked about it, when you asked me to do this recording and proposed it, and we sort of worked out what we wanted to talk about in there, I used the word post-mortem, not postmodern. A lot in the idea that the game is closing down, and you sort of objected to that, and we agreed to talk about more from the angle of this is the end of an era, because you think there's still a future for the game, and how?
Well, hopefully NCSoft realizes it's a weird decision they make. For me, it sets a bad precedent for the rest of their product. If they decide to shut down Sea of Heroes like that, like no warning like that, all of a sudden...
we have a 3 months warning.
Yeah, but that's nothing in the video game world, really. They decide to shut down the game like that. There's still people playing, and it's an MMO, it's supposed to go on forever. They even advertise, like, Sea of Heroes Freedom, play free forever now. Yeah. So, and then they decide to shut it down. What is to make us think that they're not going to shut down their other products, like Aeon, or, Guild Wars 1 and 2? they could do that whenever they want as well. So why would I buy their product when I know that they can just shut down the service whenever they want? It's really weird. It sets a bad precedent for their product. Another parallel, if people go on Dreamer's Edge, they can read my review of Star Wars Galaxies, where Sony Online Interactive decided from one day to the other to just change the game completely. Being, it used to be like a turn-based game to like a first-person shooter. They switched it around, and they lost pretty much all of their subscribers. And I have not touched one Sony Online Interactive game since, ever. And I'm not going to do it ever in my life, because if they change that game around, they can change any other game I play around.
Yeah, and to be clear for those who are not gamers, like we're talking about subscription games. Like MMORPGs work by subscription. It's not a case of, you bought a game and then the sequel's different. It's like whatever. Super Mario Bros. 2 is different than the first one. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just don't buy it. But like we're talking about, like you subscribe to something, you gave your money to pay every month for a game, and then you're getting a different game.
Yeah, exactly. So they change it around completely. Why would I buy other games? They run the risk of doing the same thing. So now looking at NCSoft game, if they just decide to shut down a game like that, with very short warning, why would I buy any of their other games? Since they can do the same thing again, why would I invest myself in another of their games just to have my, be disappointed again when they shut it down?
Right.
So it's a really weird decision. I hope they realize how weird it is, and that we can make them understand that it's the wrong thing to do.
Well, okay, but how do we make them understand that? Because I have found with petitions and anything in terms of awareness campaigns from fans in the world of entertainment, these things can turn sour very quick, because I have found that fans, in their passion, which comes from a positive place, I have no doubt, sometimes express them in the wrong way. And I know that it was important for you to sort of communicate how to go about it for the maximum effectiveness.
Yeah, we need to stay positive. Whatever happens, always keep a positive attitude and be positive about everything you do. Don't go and complain to NCSoft, calling them like clown shoe idiots and stuff like that. Talk about the positive things in Sea of Heroes, what you like about the game, and have them please reconsider the decision. Always be positive in what you do. Be like the community. The community, Sea of Heroes community, is one with the nicest people around. We have to be nice about this.
Okay, but that's the tone to take, but what are the concrete actions that fans can take?
Well, the first one is there's a petition. Last I checked, there was I think 16,000 signatures on it. That's a good start. But I don't really like petitions myself, because anybody can sign them. Any Joe with a computer can go ahead and just sign his name. He's never seen Sea of Heroes in his life. He's going to sign it anyway just for kicks.
And more to the point for me is names on a piece of paper or on a Excel sheet, whatever, do not generate revenue. And NCSoft can see, oh, we have a lot of fans, but if that doesn't translate to money, that doesn't give them any incentive to change their minds. They need to feed their employees. They need to reassure their investors that they're constantly growing. So that's usually my issue with petitions. It tells you how many fans there are. It tells you of a potential market, which is a good thing, but it doesn't tell you here's where your money is. Yeah,
that's why it seems ridiculous, but also really obvious. But one thing you need to do is to play the game. If they notice, the amount of people that are playing the game, and they realize, hey, people are still interested in this, they might realize we have something here still, and we can do something about that. Maybe get some advertising going in the game. Like you fly around Paragon City and you have a billboard, instead of having like the in-game like jokes. They're really funny jokes though. Like there's a joke for a restaurant called City of Gyros, which is that was really funny. But we'll sacrifice those and make the billboard like the next Marvel comic that's going to come out. That can generate revenue right there, and just find a way. If you have the market of people who want to play Sea of Heroes, you can find a way of making revenue with them. So what we need to do is to log on and play the game.
Yeah, and for those of you who are wondering what the difference is between signing a petition and doing that, it's a difference between a potential market and an actual market. When you sign your petition, you're giving them notice of a potential market. When you're logging on to the game, you're giving them concrete proof of an actual market that they can tap and that they can go, okay, we have something.
Yeah, Here's an example of the situation from our country. If you don't, follow video games a lot, we all remember the O'Brien-Leno fights that were going on. Like, was it last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And people were all supporting. We love Conan, but nobody was watching Conan O'Brien, and the ratings stunk. So yeah, there was a big fuss. Save Conan, but nobody was watching the show. So NBC, they just look at the ratings like his ratings suck, and they replaced him. So don't make City of Heroes ratings suck. Play the game, log on, and make sure that they see that there's a lot of people still in the game enjoying it.
Anything else that people can do?
Use the social media to show that you love the game. Like what we're doing here. It's just a simple podcast, but we're talking about the good times. Make a movie and put it on YouTube, or write a blog with your experience. So of City of Heroes, your good times. If something significant in your life happened, while you were playing City of Heroes, a lot of people met their wives there, or they made lifelong friends. Just talk about it, and let's make City of Heroes, be huge in the social medias, but for something positive, like we love the game, not just be huge because it's closing down. Make it huge because we enjoy the game.
All right, so we talked about what people can do to save City of Heroes in one form or the other, but what exactly does saving City of Heroes actually imply?
There's still hope. Apparently there's still negotiation going on between Paragon Studio and NCSoft. Administrator logged onto our server and actually said that. So that was pretty nice of him to let us know. So there might be hope. You can always cross your fingers. If not, at least release the code so that somebody else can run it. It's happened a lot with other games, like Shadowbane or Star Wars Galaxies, that people have, remake the game from scratch because they really liked it and they want to run it on their own servers. Just throw us a bone and throw us the code, so we don't have to do that, and we can play it. If somebody wants to run a City of Heroes server, that's great. We can play it on his server. We won't get like the monthly update or the issues, as they call them, where the new power sets or new zones. But that'll be at least something for us until we find a way to add those new zones and those new power sets by ourselves. Recently, they added create your own scenarios, so you can create a scenario like 3-4 missions
and share it with
other people. So if they're not releasing new issues, at least we can create new scenarios for ourselves and have fun that way. So that'd be at least something.
And I want to emphasize what we're talking about is asking for Paragon and CSoft to release the code.
Yeah.
We're not talking about fans trying to crack the code and pirate the game.
Yeah, no, that's not what we want. We don't want anybody to contact Anonymous and have him go, and that's not what is required here. Kindly, ask them, make them understand that this game means a lot to us, and maybe they'll understand. If they don't want to run the game, maybe somebody else will.
Alright, so I guess that's what we're proposing. We're proposing send your letters for the code and to let them know that you like the game and that you want it alive, or that at very worst, if there was a possibility to release the code to the public.
Yeah.
2, which is actually the more important one, is play the game.
Yes.
Log on, let your presence known. If you love the game, if you think you're going to miss it, now's the time to show it.
Exactly.
And if you've never played and you've always sort of wanted to but just never took the time, now's the time to do it for 2 reasons. A, you might love it and want to play again and actually extend your chances of getting to play it again. And if it does shut down, well, don't you want to have that experience before it does?
Exactly. At least, you could say, at least I've played City of Heroes. The first superhero MMO out there.
And the third thing we mentioned is to put the word out there in a positive way always.
Yeah.
Share your stories, share your images. This is in the spirit of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do. I'm just here to push the record button, really, people.
Yeah, I appreciate your help for that.
And in the spirit of that, what I like, and I invite our listeners to do, actually, is if you're listening to us at thedreamersedge.com and you're actually listening to the video from the page, or if you're on YouTube, post in your comments any story you have about City of Hero. We'd love to hear them, and we are trying to engage in a dialogue with you about City of Heroes. And another thing I'd love to see, personally, is if you can link us or post any image of your hero with his or her name.
Yeah.
And the cookier, the better. I want to see that. And if there's enough of them, we're going to grade them. We're going to compare them. We're going to get people to vote for them. And maybe we can come up with some sort of prize or something. I mean, this is a little bit impromptu, but we're going to work things out, and we're going to let you know in the comments board if we come up with a satisfactory prize, if there's enough people. This is something I'd really like to see.
Yeah.
All right, then. So that's it for our little special PSA, I guess.
Yeah.
And, well, thank you for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we're at thedreamersedge.com, www.thedreamersedge.com, one word. Well, not the dot and the com. Whoops. And we're on YouTube. We're also on iTunes. If you want to listen to our podcast, if you want to read Nick's reviews, they're at thedreamersedge.com. We got a lot of stuff for you guys if you want to. And we're on Facebook and we're on Twitter.
Yeah.
Happy playing.
Indeed. See you in the city.